2 for 1 here, Scal. Holiday out to White in the corner. Bingo! Celtics by 3. Timeout, Raptors. Derrick White is right again.
All right, that turned out to be the game winners. The Celtics hang on, get the win in Toronto, 108-105. Your final score. It's Celtics Postgame Live. Tom Giles in for Amina Smith, Chris Forsberg here as well. We'll hear from Eddie and Scal, or not Eddie, actually, I should say Scal, as well as Eddie's not with us tonight. He'll be back later on. But Chris, you look at this win, and let's just go right to that play right there. Yeah. The team basketball at the end, and it's just you have 5 guys on the floor who are all capable of making the big play, and they find the right guy in that moment. Drew Holiday finding Derrick White.
And how about Derrick White, who has been just phenomenal in the fourth quarter of multiple games this year, from Miami to Philly to now. He continues to be the absolute savior for this team at times in that fourth quarter, even when you have a Jason Tatum and a Jaylen Brown out there. It's crazy to me, Giles, to think back to last season, and there were games where we would be sitting here afterwards screaming that Derrick White wasn't playing in the fourth quarter, and now he is such a vital part to their crunch time offense. A great look from Drew Holiday, who was great throughout most of this game, and Derrick White knocking it down. Look, the Celtics had a very sloppy, very ugly second half, but to be able to compose yourself in that moment and when you most needed it, to get a shot like that and to knock it down and get out of there with a win feels good for them.
I mean, down the stretch there, Toronto had all the momentum. I mean, the fact that Toronto was down 16 points at halftime and they just go in that huge flurry of threes to begin the third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter to take the lead time and time again and just kind of continue to put themselves up by 2 for the Celtics to take this one, to grab this win, because you knew how badly Toronto wanted it, and again, playing with all that momentum down the stretch, so a huge bucket there. And then how about defensively, too, at the end? Because, I mean, if you're talking about the Toronto Raptors being down 3 late in a game, it gives you flashbacks to that OG Anunoby game that was in the bubble going back a few years ago. I don't know why that came into my head, but it did with the cross-court pass.
PTSD right there, Giles. But yeah, so like here, Jaylen slips, and Jaylen was slip-sliding all over this court. I don't know what was going on, if it was the court or his shoes or what. But Barnes gets a great look, and very, very lucky that didn't fall. Good job by Derrick trying to scramble out to at least have some coverage on there. But yeah, that sort of encapsulates the night for me, where some of us were pretty bullish at halftime that the Celtics were going to run away with this thing based on the way that they had played to close out that first half, made everybody sweat, and yet in the biggest moments they find a way to get to the finish line. I think that's the sign of a great team. On the road, the in-season tournament where there's a little bit more magnitude, as you said, in a building that had a whole lot of momentum for the Raptors. Credit for the Celtics to make the play late and then escape when Barnes isn't able to hit that shot.
All right, so 108-105. The final score is the Celtics get the win here, now 2-0 in the in-season tournament. Abby Chin standing by with Kristaps Porzingis in Toronto.
Kristaps, tonight in the clutch, you guys had some huge stops, came up with timely buckets. What made the difference in execution?
Good question. I think the first quarter and the beginning of second half, we didn't start off the way we would like to. And what I liked about today's game is we fought back. Like, we fought in those moments, especially when the crowd got into it late, like in the second half. And we stayed with it. We made some big shots also, and at the end we won the game. And I loved our character in today's game.
Yeah, they really upped the physicality in the second half. How were you guys able to match that?
I think we just played our game. We are, as I said, I don't know. There's not a huge difference, but honestly, we should have matched. Like, they had a bit more energy to us, and when we matched the energy, the game started going in our favor, and that's what we did tonight.
What were you and Drew able to take advantage of in that two-man game near the end?
Just putting them in that situation with Schroeder or with a smaller guard, and making them switch, and then either making them pay with the 5 on one of our guards, or me down in the post, and that's a mismatch. And so we just took advantage of that.
A lot of mismatches with you. You told us earlier in the season you were looking forward to seeing how this group would respond to adversity. You guys have now won 5 straight coming off of those 2 losses. What have you seen?
As I said, I loved our character today. It wasn't our best game. Nobody was like hot and going, but I saw some like big plays, energy plays from JB, D. White, Drew was excellent, energy-wise, and that's it. And they picked us up, and we made it happen.
You sure did. Kristaps, thank you. Congrats.
Thanks.
All Let's bring in Scal and Drew now back in Toronto. And Scal, I want to start with just the execution on those last couple of possessions by the Celtics here, offensively and defensively. Derrick White with the 3, and then able to get the stop with the Scotty Barnes 3. What did you think of the late game execution?
So yeah, high basketball IQ thing. Offensively, it's not necessarily about going to your best player, which is Tatum and then probably Brown. It's about going at their worst defenders, and give Joe Mazzulla a lot of credit. You know, he wanted to pick on Dennis Schroeder. He felt like there was a matchup there. Toronto had to react to that, and that left Derrick White wide open. So it's a lot of times when people ask the question nowadays, if the shot is needed, who's going to take it? Well, you're going to take it, and you're going to go at the way you can compromise the defense. And Holiday made the right play, getting it out to Derrick White.
And I go back to it. I marvel that Derrick White wasn't on the court at times last season in these spots, but now is sort of crucial to what they're doing. Drew, what's it like to watch Derrick White just take over in these fourth quarter moments in multiple games this season?
Well, the cool thing, Chris, as I was listening to Scal break that down, is there's nobody on the floor for the Celtics in crunch time, any one of the starting 6, as we call them, who's not a clutch player, who hasn't played in huge moments. I mean, Derrick White, you probably would describe him as the 5th option offensively in the starting lineup, and all he does is make huge shots, and he had 27 a couple days ago against the second-best team in the Eastern Conference. Derrick White makes winning plays. Al Horford makes winning plays when he's in there in crunch time. All of these guys are extremely clutch, and that doesn't even mention the guy who might win Clutch Player of the Year this year in the NBA, and Jason Tatum.
Yeah, and another thing, in that third quarter, Celtics were looking a little bit rocky. They ran pick and roll with Al Horford. Al Horford caught the ball in the middle of the paint, and Toronto really had a hard time adjusting to that. And when you think about the roster that they have shooting all around them. So I know, like, I'm all for the three-point shooting. I'm not an anti-3 guy, not at all. But when things got tough, going inside and then kicking it out, I think the Celtics need to look at more of that. Tatum had a few. Porzingis had a few. There were some matchup issues that they had, you know, getting the ball inside and going over the top. So we just got to sprinkle. When I would just say I'm fine with flowing, but when things get tough, I mean really tough, try to get the ball in the middle of the paint, just play from there, and I feel like good things will happen.